everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'd like to share with you a new idea that I've come up with using the paper pumpkin kit from October 2019 called Winter Woods. So this idea is very different than the original idea. This is more of an autumn-fall idea using the some of the supplies from the kit, as well as a couple things from my own stash. So let's go ahead and start making this card. So I've got my papers and I'll walk you through those as I need them. We're also using some different fall colors, inks, and I've got those. So the first thing we need to do is get a white piece of cardstock, and this one is 1/4 of a page. So we've got 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we're going to stamp the snowflake stamp on this. And our snowflake stamp is actually what makes the leaves. If you can see, we've got this little piece of the snowflake is the inside veins of the leaf. And so we're going to stamp this snowflake all over the white cardstock. And we're doing that in the early espresso ink. So just start stamping. And if you rotate your snowflake, then you should be able to get about 3 snowflakes across and about 4 snowflakes down. So that will give you 12 snowflakes. And if you have 12 snowflakes, then there are 6 of the little sections, and so you should have about 72 leaves, which seems like a lot, but you will just have we kind of use a lot for this card, right? So we've got some on the trees and some on the ground, and so you just want to have all those leaves in case you want to, you know, fill up your tree or to put more on the ground. And then if you have extras left over, that's always good. You can use them for another project. Great. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. The next step we're going to use is we're going to create the color for the leaves. And so instead of coloring each one of these leaves individually, I went ahead and just colored my whole paper and then cut out the leaves. So I'm using sponge daubers to do this, and I've got 3 that kind of match my colors. So the first color I'm going to use is Old Olive. And I'm putting that green color in the center of my leaves. Now, if my camera wiggles, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to hold my table still, but it's a little wobbly today. So just rub that green in the center of each snowflake. Okay. The next color I've used is yellow, and this is a crushed curry yellow, so it's kind of got that golden color to it. And we just kind of, you know, went around, all the way around, so that there's color to the very edges of that snowflake. And you can make them, you know, the colors brighter by adding more ink, or you can make them lighter. So that is up to you. And you can even use different colors if you'd like. I think I'm going to go back in with some green and brighten up that green a little bit. Okay, and then the very last thing is just a hint of this Cajun Craze. And this just kind of adds that little burnt orange to the leaves. And I just kind of tapped a little bit between each spot. So this is just adding a little bit of brown, orangey color. And it doesn't need to be perfect because you're just wanting a little variation to those leaves. And so we're just gonna touch those tips with a little bit of color, like they've just kind of started to turn, you know, get that fall color that we all love so much. And kind of random is good, and a little heavier sometimes and a little lighter, and other places works too. Okay, so we've got all our color for our leaves, and the next step is to cut this. So grab a pair of paper snips and I will show you how to cut this. So what I've done is I've just followed the outline of each one and then made a point in the middle. So you just start with the first one and come around, cut it, and roll it up to the top. And you've got your first leaf. So we're going to go ahead and do that to all of these. I prefer starting in the middle. That might just be because I'm left-handed, and so I can see the shape of the leaf a little bit better. And then I can come down and make a point. If you like starting from the outside, you can. So I'm just going to do one more for you to watch, and then I'm going to turn off the camera and finish them off camera, and then I'll come back when they're all cut out. And you can see that the shapes are just slightly all different. I am not a punch or a die cut. I'm human, and everything I make is not exactly the same. So I like the look. If you don't and you want it to look perfect and even on all sides, then maybe you can find like a small circle punch or something and try to create that shape with a punch. But for me, this works really well. Okay, so I'm turning off the camera and we'll be right back when these are all done. Don't forget to subscribe to November's Paper Pumpkin Kit, Winter Wonders. This kit will include 24 tags in 4 different designs. Subscribe by November 10th. Click on the link in the description box below. All right, so I've got all my leaves cut out, and the next thing we're going to do is get an envelope from the kit and open it up. So we're gonna go ahead and design on the larger piece, and then we'll cut it down to the size we want after we've glued everything on. So just kind of cut off these flaps so they're not in your way. Okay, so you can put those to the side, and you've got your wood grain paper. Okay, looking at my tree, I realized that I forgot to do some behind the tree texture stamping. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add that now. So I won't have as much. So originally I started with stamping a grouping of the, so these little snowflake balls that came in the kit behind the tree. So I forgot to do that for this video. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that now. And it's fairly easy to add. I'm going to move all these stamps I have from other cards and try that again. So just line it up away from the tree. Try turning it, see if that fits a little better. And then maybe do a little bit on this side. Okay, so that's good, right? And it will lighten up a little bit. Right now it's dark, but it will lighten. The next thing we need is one of the tree trunks. So we're not using we're not using this whole piece, so we're just going to snip off some tree trunks. And I do have other cards that use these pieces. So if you don't know what to do with them, then search my YouTube channel for some other cards that use these pieces. Okay, so the card has the trees on the left of center. So we're going to do about the same on this one. So grab some liquid glue and just put a couple dabs along that tree trunk. And then put it left of center. And we're going to cover the top and bottom with leaves, so it doesn't need to be like touching anything. So the easiest way I've found to add the leaves is to start by adding glue and then using a pickup tool like this one to add the leaves to those glue dots. So I just started by adding some glue around my branches and trees. Make sure to space them out because these leaves are bigger than they look. And sorry, the trees are bigger, or the leaves are bigger than they look. And at first I was putting the glue dots too close to each other. And so I was like covering multiple glue dots with one leaf. So we're just going to layer leaves around the tree. And it's kind of nice to put them at different angles. Let's see, I'll just stick that one. Let's go that way. Okay, so once you've got your first layer, then you're going to go ahead and add a second layer. Maybe your second layer kind of shapes the tree a little bit. Spread these out. Oops, I had two there. So we can fill in any little gaps. We're just creating the shape that we want the tree to look, to have that look of a nice, well, not really full, right? Because it's autumn and fall and things are gonna fall down, but just to give it a little bit of shape so it doesn't look too scrawny. And I guess this is two trees put together because we've got two tree trunks. So you can do how you want with that. Okay. So do some fillers. I'm going to put a couple up here. So some of these need to be flipped over. And some on this side. And then maybe a couple in the middle. Just to give it a little more interest. Let's put this one this way. And then put this one this way. So it's kind of nice to have them overlapping a little bit. One there, one here. Okay, so we could fill in a little bit more. These two leaves here look like they're floating, so I'm gonna add a leaf here to kind of bring that together. There, maybe like that. Okay. All right, so for me that's good, and you can keep working on yours. And then these extra pieces I'm gonna put at the bottom because they have fallen off the tree, and I want to use them at the bottom to kind of add a little pile of leaves near the base of the trunk. So we don't have to go all the way to the edge. I'm just gonna do a line of glue and kind of fill that up with some random leaves, and then I will pile them up more around the trunk when I've filled this up. Okay, And then we'll just do a couple around the trunk. 1, 2, 3. And then kind of fill in those gaps with a couple. So we're coming down to the final leaves. Okay, so we do have about 4 left. So if there's anywhere you wanted to put those, you can put those in holes. I think I'm just going to leave mine off my card for now, and maybe I'll see something as I'm working on it. I want to fill in some holes. Okay, so this is going to dry, and then we're going to cut that down. So while we do that, we're going to cut our sentiment. Now I'm using a word from the Die's Well-Written Framelits, and there are some really great words in here, and I'm just going to use welcome. And you can see that the welcome comes in straight, and I've curved it a little just to add a little bit of interest, and I've cut it twice. So I'm going to go ahead to my Big Shot, and I'm going to cut out welcome 2 times on my strip of crushed Curry cardstock. Okay, so I've got it cut twice, and I'm just going to poke this one out and remove the extra pieces. And then we're going to glue these together. So you're going to take one and put some glue on the top, and I've just kind of dabbed a couple spots with glue. Doesn't need to be covered in glue. Okay, stay. And then this one I'm just going to place on top. The nice thing about liquid glue is that if it doesn't line up perfectly, you can shift it a little bit before it dries by just picking it up and like using your fingers to move it around. Okay, so that one's ready. And then we also need to add a ribbon of this Cajun Craze. Now this is in the holiday catalog, and it comes with another ribbon. It's a combo pack. And I'm just going to take, I don't know, about 8 inches and tie a ribbon, or a bow, I guess. And then trim it. Okay, so I've got my little accessories all done. And then we're going to, let's go ahead and put some things on the card base while we let that dry. So we've got our card base. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble while we wait for our tree to dry. I've got a Crumb Cake card base and a Cajun Craze card front. And this is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and distress the edge. And I like to do that by opening up my pair of paper snips and then just running the blade along that edge. I think this is a really fun technique to use when you want things to look a little more worn or natural. Okay, so I've got a distressed edge. Now I'm going to take a bone folder and just curl up each corner just a little bit. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to take some snail, or you can use your liquid adhesive, and just run some snail on the back. And then this just goes at an angle on the front of our card. Kind of just looks like some wind is blowing and it's a little bit of a chilly day. Okay, so we are going to now cut this card, and we're going to cut it down to 3 3/4, excuse me, by 5 and I think it's just by 5. Yeah, so 3 3/4 by 5. So I'll bring over my paper cutter. Okay, so I'm going to use a rotary cutter to do this because of the thickness and the glue, and so that kind of just helps me be able to cut through those things. Oh, sorry, this is so wiggly. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make a straight edge here, and then come down and just kind of chop off some of these leaves at the bottom. Sorry for the wiggleness. Okay, then on this side, I'm going to measure the 3 3/4 and just see where that lies. So that kind of cuts off a little more than I'd like. So I'm going to just move it to 4 and maybe a little bit past 4 or inside 4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And then we said 5 inches. So I'm going to go a little shorter than 5. And now I'm going to go ahead and trim it back to 3 3/4. Okay. So I've got my card. It looks like I could probably use another leaf right here. So I'm just going to put one here and maybe one there. Once I've got those extras. Okay. All right. So this is going to go on our card at an angle, and I'm going to distress the edges as well. And the fun thing about this distressing is it's going to have a little bit of white poke through because the inside of the paper is white and the outside. And so that will kind of be a fun texture to add. That little guy needs some glue. Okay. So it's a little tricky right around these leaves, you know, that have been glued down because we don't want to pop them off, but we do want to add that texture to their edges. So just hold them tight while you run the scissors across their edge. Okay. So then we're going to add this with some dimensionals. And you can use the ones from the kit. They're a little bit on the small side. I'm going to just put these small ones in the middle. And then you can use your scissors to snip some of these, the edge of the large, to get some larger sizes for the corners. So I've done 4. And then go ahead and add this to your card front at an angle. Now we're going to do welcome, and we're just going to bend it slightly to just get that little bit of curve. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. So it looks like this tree, I didn't quite put as much foliage, and this one I put more and brought it down a little bit. So this welcome needs to go up into the tree just slightly. Okay, so when I'm ready to put that down, I'm just going to add some glue to the back. Just a couple dots here and there. And pick it up. Oh, try not to do what I just did. And get glue on your fingers. And then kind of arrange it where you want it. The nice thing about it being at an angle is it doesn't have to be totally straight. And then the last thing we're going to do is add another little dot of glue where we want our ribbon. So might be a little bit big, so I'm just going to bring it, make it a little smaller, and just put it right there at the base of that tree. Okay, so then I'm just going to snip off this extra. There we go. So we finished this card, and it's been really fun to kind of try to create a different theme with the stamp set and some of the elements that came in the winter kit. And so this was really a fun challenge for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit creativechelsea.com for more information about Paper Pumpkin and to start getting your monthly kit. Have a creative day. Bye.